So here we are again with another video, and I said to you that I'd try and do some things that would help you with your schoolwork, and I had to put my thinking cap on a bit because you're all at different stages of reading and spelling and writing, and I can't do something particularly for each one, so I was thinking what could I do that might help everybody. And I thought that since we've got this little bit of time where we're not doing weekly homework for school and things like that, perhaps now would be a really good time to go back to the very beginning and check that our foundations were securely in place. Now, what do I mean by foundations? Well, you know when you're building a house or a Lego wall or something like that, and you put the blocks in place at the bottom, if they're not all quite in the right place and they're not all lined up and firmly fixed down, when you build your wall, you'll know that it tends to get a bit wobbly. And it can be a bit like that with reading and spelling. And I think we all know that often when we were beginning to learn to read and spell, we might not have known that we were dyslexic. So we might not have been learning things in a way that was good for us. So it's quite possible that for some of us, some of those blocks, those foundations of learning to read, were a bit wobbly. I know that I certainly had a few bits that were wobbly. And helping other kids learn to read and spell has definitely helped me. So what I thought we could do is we could go back to the beginning and check quickly that all our foundations were in place. Now, if you do this and you think, oh, it's just dead easy, I've learnt this ages ago, and you understand all of it and it's all firmly in place, that's great, you can move on. But if you go back over this and do a double check and think, oh, hang on a second, there's a bit there that I don't think I've got quite right, then you've got a moment to be able to go back and get that fixed in place to help you with your other reading and spelling and writing that you're doing now. Does that sound sensible? Okay, good. So what I thought we'd do is an alphabet arc. Now, you might have seen one of these at school. You might have had one to help you with your work, or you might have had one in your interventions or something like that. But they're quite popular, and there's lots of different places you can have a look at how they work. If you have a look on YouTube and search alphabet arc, I'm sure you'll be able to find lots of pictures. Now, the one I've got here, don't know if you can see it, I've done on a whiteboard, but you could do it on a piece of paper, and you can make it into a rainbow, or it could be a racetrack, or whatever you feel, an arc round to put your letters on. And what you'll also need is some letter tiles. These ones are Scrabble tiles. I've collected quite a lot together, more than one set, so I can use Scrabble tiles. You might have some magnetic letters that you put on your fridge, or some other pretty letters like I've got here that are just for making words out of. Or these are some characters that were on TV that I collected from a magazine. You could have building blocks with the letters on, doesn't really matter. And I've also got a little video, if you've not got anything like that, showing you how you can make some of your own. But you need some letters, you need something like a whiteboard or a big bit of paper that you can draw your arch on, and you also need a full alphabet either written out or printed out. I've put one on a smaller whiteboard here to refer to. And those are the things you're going to need to use an alphabet arc. So, the basics of reading and writing. We need to get the hang of these funny little squiggles that we call letters. And it's like a code. Human beings have used our spoken language for thousands and thousands of years before we decided to try and write it down. And the reason we write it down is so that other people can hear what we're saying without us being there. So we can write our messages down and they can go elsewhere, and people can look at these funny little squiggles, understand the code, and know what sounds these squiggles mean. So what we need to do is check that we know for every letter what sound they make. So we're going to use the alphabet arc to do that. Now, you could get your pile of letters, I've got mine in a bag here, and you could just put them in the right order round the alphabet and check that way. It might not be much fun, but it would certainly get the job done. Or you can turn it into a little bit of a game, or a bit more interesting, by having your letters in your bag. You can pull out one of the letters. I've got there, this is the letter whose name is O, and it makes an O sound. And what you could do is you could work out, probably with the help of your alphabet if you need to, whereabouts on the arc it goes. Now it's just over halfway, but before the Q, so I'm going to kind of put it there somewhere on mine. And I'm going to check that I know the sound O. Now if you're like me, I find it quite difficult to know my sounds and remember them. So sometimes I check mine by using an app, or I go on a YouTube video for phonics and I listen to somebody else saying them and I check that I'm saying them okay, because I find that quite tricky, and you might do too. So let's find another one. So now I've got this letter, its name is V, but it makes a V sound. Now you've got to be careful not to put an sound on it, not to say the, because if you do that it can mix you up later because you think there's more sounds in the word than just the V sound. Now I'm going to put that one down this end of the alphabet because I know it comes down here somewhere. And that's what you do, you keep going through the bag, find the letters, work out the sounds and figure out where they go in the alphabet. Okay? Once you've gone round your alphabet, checking that you know all of those letters, their names and their sounds. Here's my last one. This one is the letter M and it makes a M sound. And you put it in there. You can double check that you know all of the sounds of your letters, and that way you know that you've got all of those foundation blocks, those sounds that we need to build together to make words in place. And that way you can crack the code of learning to read and spell. So in the next video I'll show you some other tricks and tips that you can use when you're practicing your spelling and reading. See you next time. Bye.